and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we have a puzzle that has been garnering stupendous reviews from our testers. It's called Frames. I'm not sure why, and it's by Afraid Not, a constructor I hold in the very highest regard. So we ought to be in for an absolute treat. I'm looking forward to this one. Now, before we start and I read you the rules, I just want to say a huge thank you to all those of you who joined me on my live stream last night, where I attempted to play a game called The Witness. Now, what a game that is, by the way. It was a lot of fun. Puzzles were great. There were some moments that reminded me of doing amazing Sudokus where literally your sort of jaw hit the floor as you suddenly realised what was going on. Not that I really have a great deal of a clue what was going on, but there were some puzzles in particular where I suddenly twigged how they worked, and it was very satisfying, and it was really touching actually to interact with the community live, so to speak. So I did enjoy it, and I want to say thank you as well to all those of you who donated. It was incredibly generous, and yeah, we were blown away. So we're going to do another one. Obviously I'm going to continue my efforts to complete The Witness, probably next Tuesday night. That looks like it might work the best from my diary's perspective. So that's the day I'm hoping for at the moment. So if you've not checked it out, I will try and put a card on the screen so you can see what happened last night, and then hopefully you'll be able to join us on the next one. Anything else to mention? No, just I suppose congratulations to the now 500 of you who have successfully solved Grockel's Heatwave collection of thermo Sudokus over on Patreon. It's stunning, actually. I mean, Grockles is an astrophysicist, but you don't have to be an astrophysicist to solve those 10 puzzles. You do have to be quite decent at Sudoku, though, and 500 of you have strutted your stuff in that direction, so really well done. If you are a patron of the channel and you haven't had a go yet, do have a go. It will be worth your time. Now, let's get to the rules of Frames, and I will read them to you. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage, if given. If given. Yes, okay, this cage here does not have a total, but digits cannot repeat within a cage. So this cage here is here because we cannot repeat a digit in these 5 cells. Now, clues outside the grid give the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal, and digits can repeat along such a diagonal if allowed by other rules. So let's have a look at this 49 diagonal. So that's telling us these 8 cells here have to sum up to 49, and we can repeat digits, but what you can't do is something like that. That won't work because it breaks the rules of Sudoku. So don't do that, but you probably can put quite a few 5s along that diagonal if you want to. I think all of those don't break the rules of either Sudoku or Killer Sudoku. 25, they probably break the rules of Little Killer Sudoku, though those 3 squares there would have to add up to, is that 24? Oh no, that's fine. Okay, so this could actually be the correct configuration of the puzzle, which would be somewhat ironic, but I wouldn't put those in and assume they're correct by any manner or means. Now, so do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking and let's see what's going on here. Now I have to say, when I first look at this grid, my eyes are immediately drawn to the sort of delineation of certain areas of the grid by the killer cages. Those 2 areas look to me like they're being drawn out. Maybe it's just because I do too many Sudokus at the moment that relate to set theory. So set equivalence theory is a very, very cool technique. And this looks like it might be relevant. Let's just, well, if you're wondering what's going on, let me fill you in case this is where the direction we need to go in. What are those purple squares? The answer is we may not know the disposition of the digits within those purple squares, but we know for absolute certainty that these purple squares contain 5 complete sets of the digits 1 to 9. How do we know that? Well, what are we going to find in row 5 of a correctly completed Frames puzzle? We're going to find the digits 1 to 9 once each in this row. So this is one set of the digits 1 to 9. That's a second set. That's a third set. That's a fourth set. and that's a 5th set. So these 45 cells are 5 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now let's ask exactly the same question about columns 6, 7, 8 and 9. They're obviously going to contain 4 complete sets of the digits 1 to 9. So we know, or we can state at this point, that the purple set and the green set are different by 1 complete set of the digits 1 to 9, because the green is only 4 complete sets, whereas the purple is 5 complete sets. Now, what would happen if we removed this cell here from both of our purple and our green set? Would that affect that conclusion? Well, clearly not. So if we remove that digit from both sets, it's still absolutely true to say that the difference between the green and the purple sets is still 1 set of the digits 1 to 9, because all I've done is remove the same digit from both sets, so I haven't changed anything. So I can remove any common digit, and that will still be true. So it is still true to say that the greens plus 1 set of the digits 1 to 9 are going to equal the purples. And this is where it gets interesting, because look, in the purples, we can isolate a set of the digits 1 to 9, not in a row or column, but in a box. This box is definitely going to contain the digits 1 to 9 once each, and the same is true in those in the green. So if I was to remove these from green and these from purple, my conclusion about the difference between green and purple would still hold. So let's do that. So now, as Maverick flies past, some of you, by the way, I must be new to the channel, are asking why I refer to Maverick flying past. Well, it's because whenever I seem to record a video, some local pilot appears to take off in his plane and buzz past my window, a la Tom Cruise in Top Gun. So that's why I refer to Maverick with a slightly disgruntled demeanour. Anyway, so let's get back to greens and purples. So now we know that it's still true to say these 7 cells here, these 7 green cells, plus 1 set of the digits 1 to 9, so that's another 9 digits, that's 16 digits, are the exact digits that we will have in purple, where hopefully there will be 16 digits, and there are. So at this point, we know that green and purple are still different by exactly 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. And I've suddenly realised this is a complete red herring, isn't it? I've got far too much real estate in purple that is not known about. Oh, bobbins. Sorry. Ah, okay. I think I've got carried away by the fact that these things seem to be delineating a 5x5 grid. In fact, I've just realised they're not delineating a 5. Well, they're delineating a frame, perhaps. That's quite interesting. Can I resurrect this somehow? Let me just think about this, because there do have to be a lot of 1s in these 8 cages. Maybe we can resurrect it. Let's just have a think about that. Each of these 8 cages is either a 125 or a 134. I just thought about something else as well. I can colour the 8 cages. Oh, good grief. I think I'm making a right pig's ear of this. Anyway, in the 8 cages, each 8 cage contains a 1. So we know that the purple digits collectively contain at least 3 1s. Now we know that green, therefore, must contain at least 2 1s. And we know that because green is equal to purple once we add 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. So I can add 1 1 to what I've got in green, but I can't add any more 1s than that. So there must be 2 1s at least in green. And that is not going to save me, I'm afraid. I thought it might because of the size of this cage, but it doesn't. It's still perfectly possible for those to be 1s. I would lock a 1 into the 21 cage, but that's not a problem. Oh, bother. Yeah, I think this is just a complete red herring. Sorry. I haven't actually looked at any of the little killer clues yet as well. Let me just have a double check if one of these are relevant. And what we're looking for with little killer clues is things that have a very unusual average. So yeah, I mean, this isn't great, is it? 49 in 8 cells is averaging very close to 6 for each digit. And 6 isn't that far away from 5, which is the average digit in a Sudoku. So this is not going to help us. The 48 in 9 cells is averaging very close to 5, which is the average digit. The 13 in 5 is a little bit low, but not terribly so. That's probably the most interesting diagonal. 2, yeah, but if we went 1 2 1 2 like that, this square, I almost said squell then. This squell here, let's use the word squell today. This squell here would still have the ability to be as high as 7, and that's not really going to help us. So maybe I do have to think about the fact that no, hang on. I've had 2 thoughts now. One thought is about the fact that I have to be a bit careful with 1s in terms of box 7, look. Yeah, okay, I think this is where I should have started. If that square is a 1, then this square is a 1, and this square is a 1, and the puzzle's broken. Why is the puzzle broken? Well, it's because in box 7, I've got to put a 1 in a 27 cage, and I can't do that. If you put 1 in here, the other 3 squares would have to add up to 26 and be different digits. Well, 9, 8, and 7 only add up to 24, so that does not work. That would most certainly be wrong. So you can't dispose the 1s around these 8 cages in any way that results in 1s getting forced into the 27 cage. So that one's ruled out, that one's ruled out. That one is ruled out for the same reason. If you put a 1 there, you end up with 2 1s in those 2 squares. You can't... Yeah, okay, so there's a funny thing about the 1s here. Only one of those 2 squares can be a 1. And only one of those 2 squares can be a 1. Maybe that's obvious. Oh, no. Right. This is very, very clever indeed, actually. Now, let's look at the 13 diagonal again, because suddenly it has acquired potency. Why do I say that? Well, now I simply cannot put a 1 on it. And that means that it's forced. That is absolutely beautiful. So now, what's the minimum those squares can be? 2 and 3. What's the minimum those squares can be? 2 and 3. What's the absolute minimum this square can be? 3. If we put 2 in here, we can't make 25 in the other 3 squares. What do these absolute minimums add up to? Well, 2 and 3 is 5. Another 5 is 10, and that's 13, so this is forced. That's really clever. That is really clever. So that means I've got 7, 8, and 9 in there. Now, can we take that logic any further? That's the question. So do we know... Yeah, I've got it. This is really, really beautiful. So one thing I was about to do a few minutes ago when I was acknowledging the fact that I made a complete Horlicks of this is, in fact, I'm going to get rid of my Horlicks colouring. And let's get back to colouring the squells in a useful way. Now, let's think about the way you can make 8. 8 in 3 cells is either 1 2 5 or 1 3 4. So if these 2 8 cages here were the same variant of an 8 cage, let's imagine they were both 1 2 5. Well, then those 4 squares would have to be selected from the 3 different digits 1, 2 and 5. And no matter how hard we try to do that, we will repeat a digit. So we know that this one and this one are different. And in fact, look, we've got exactly the same going on in column 5 then. This variant of 8 cage must be different from this variant, or we'll have to repeat a digit in those 4 cells. because we'll be selecting those 4 cells from just 3 different digits. So that one and that one can be coloured the same, and this one is different. And why does this matter? Well, now let's come back and look at those 2 squares. Because these 2 squares pinch box 7 rather beautifully, don't they? If these are both 2, where does the 2 go in box 7? It can't go anywhere. So they're not both 2. They must both be 3. And we are suddenly away. We've now got 3s and 2s. And now this must be a 1, 2, 5 triple, because it's not 1, 3, 4, which the oranges are. And the 2s are locking the 2 in the blue into the corner. So we get more tidying up. Now there's all sorts of Sudoku I think we can do. Look, we've got 2s and... yeah, where do 2s and 1s go in column 6? Well, not in any of those 6 cells. So there's a 1 and a 2 up here. And the same is true identically in row 4, look. Those squares can't contain 1s and 2s, so we've got 1s and 2s over here. That already looks deeply suspicious to me. Although perhaps it's not that surprising given what we were almost discovering in terms of the 8 cages before. 3 has to be in one of those squares. And one of these squares. The logic is very symmetrical, isn't it? These 1s, 2s pencil marks are the same. These 3s pencil marks are the same. I've now got 3 and 2 on the... oh no, forget the 48 diagonal. Forget it. It's let itself down. It's not going to be useful. So, what do we do now? Ah, yeah, okay. Now look at these 2 squares. Are these 2 squares the same digit? No, we end up with the same problem with the squares in the 27 cage again. If these are both 1, I've got to put a 1 in the 27 cage. I can't do it. If they're both 4, I've got to put a 4 in there. Can't do it. So those 2 squares are different. Which might mean that I've got to abandon my useful colouring. I'm going to abandon that and colour these 2 in differently. So that means that one's blue and this one's orange. So now blue lives in one of those squares and orange lives in one of these squares. Now, can we do anything with that? There's now no 1 and no 4 in those 3 squares. Blue is definitely in one of these 3 squares. Ah, okay, there's a small point. You've got to put blue in one of those 2 squares in this domino, because it can't go in this square. Why can't it go in this square? Well, if it was in this square, if it's a 1, those 2 have to add up to 19. That won't work. If it's a 4, these have to add up to 16, and they'd have to be 7 and 9, and that's going to give us a problem with these 2 squares down here, which would both have to equal 8. So that's not going to be productive. What about orange? Do we know about orange? I don't think we do, because I don't know which of these is orange unless I'm missing a trick. I've got to put orange in one of those. Now, can orange go in the 19 cage? The answer to that is... it probably can, actually. It's tricky for it to go in there. It can't be 1 if it goes in there. It would have to be 4. And these 2 couldn't be 7 and 8, because that would break these 2 squares. So they'd have to be 6 and 9. But I think they might be able to be 6 and 9. Oh, sorry. I don't think I'm quite cottoning on to how this is restricted. So maybe I've got to, maybe the 1s and the 2s. Let's come back to the 1s and the 2s. Are these restricted? The answer is Well, yes, a bit. Definitely a bit. You can't make those two squares a 1-2 pair. Because if you do, now you've got a Schrödinger squell here. Because if these are 1 and 2, you can't put 1 and 2 in the same cage. So these squares are not 1 and 2. And now I've got to put 1 and 2 in the same cell simultaneously, which is going to be troubling. So they are not a 1-2 pair, which means that square is a 1 or a 2. And by analogy, this must, well, by symmetry, that must be the same logic here. This can't be a 1-2 pair because this would be the Schrödinger squell, and that won't work. So there's a 1-2 pair here, and they are on a 15 diagonal. Right, okay. Okay, this is good, because these are not the same either. Because if they were the same digit, you'd have to put a 2 in one of those squares and a 2 in one of those squares, and you will break the cage logic. So these are different digits, which gives me another opportunity to colour, which I'm only too happy to take. So they add up to 3 now, which means those two squares to make 15 add up to 12, which means these two squares add up to 9, and maybe this is getting the 48 diagonal more restricted. We've got 9 plus another 5, 14, so we need 34 in the other cells, which are these cells. It's not actually that a particularly high average, is it? It's averaging close to 7. This square has a maximum value of 6, so that could be 15. That could be 8, 9 though, and that therefore has to be low. Bother. Okay, sorry, I thought that was going to be more productive than it was. The 10 diagonal is particularly useless. What am I meant to do? Is it so? Oh, have I now got some benefit from the set stuff? No, I've still got massive holes in it. A W pentomino of hole. The 3 go in the 20 cage. It would have 8, 9 with it. That would give a virtual triple in the column. Ah, right. Okay. Okay. That does not work. So, let me go through my thought process there. I was wondering whether the 3 could go in the 20 cage. And my initial reaction was yes, because it's going to make, if we make this square the 3, just for the sake of exposition, now we know this domino is an 8, 9 pair. And my first thought was that, well, that's fine. This can be an 8 or a 9. That creates a 7, 8, 9 triple in the column, and all is well with the world. But it's not, because this square is also an 8 or a 9. And that is a problem, because now I've got to put 8 and 9 somewhere in column 1, and they're not in any of those 6 cells. So this cell, this squell I should say, becomes a Schrödinger squell and has to be a simultaneous 8 and 9, which it can't be. So you can't actually, you just can't put 3 in there. This has to be a 3. But I think more... so yeah, it's beautiful. It's perfect. This is a perfect cage, in the sense that not only can we deduce that this is a 3, but also let's think about what digits we can put in the 20 cage. Because of this trick regarding this cell here, we can only put one of the digits 7, 8 and 9 in this 20 cage. Well, if we're going to put 2 digits that are not 7, 8 and 9 in, what's the maximum those digits can be? 5 and 6. So that means the other digit will have to be a 9 in order to get to 20. So this is a 5, 6, 9 triple, and this is a 9. Which is rather gorgeous, actually. Yes, and this is gorgeous, because now where does orange go? Orange is most certainly not there by Sudoku, and it's not any of those squares. So this is an orange, blue, 1, 4 pair, which means those squares are 2, 7 and 8 to complete the box, which means I can place 2 in box 7 by our old friend Sudoku. Don't see much of that round here. And we can note that we have to put 5 and 6 into those squares in column 1. I don't think we know more than that, though. This diagonal? No. That's still not interesting. Okay. So have we got... Well, we should probably try the same logic down here, shouldn't we, on the 19 cage, because this could be a Schrödinger square as well. Well, alright, hang on, look. I've got 2s in those squares. I can't put a 2 in the 19 cage, because that would be an 8-9 pair, and that breaks very cleanly indeed. You'd have 4 cells in the row that have to be selected from 3 different digits. So there's a 2 in one of those squares. Now, can you put a 3 in the 19 cage? If you do, the other digits are 7 and 9, and that's going to break. It forces 7 and 9 into the Schrödinger square. So you can't put 3 in there. So this is a 3 again. This is lovely. It really is so clever. Oh yeah, okay. And now I've got... Well, in fact, now I know that that's a 1 or a 4. And that is not orange, but that's not the point I was thinking about. The point I was thinking about was that I had a definite 1-4 virtual pair here, which has now become a 1-4 real pair here. And now where does 1 go in this box? It definitely isn't in the 19 cage. It's definitely not in those squares. So it joins its friend the 2, and I get a 1-2 pair there. And now the 4, look, has to be in the 19 cage. And the 4 is therefore going to be accompanied by 2 digits adding to 15, which cannot be 7 and 8. Because if they're 7 and 8, oh, this is ridiculously clever. It really is. If they're 7 and 8, we end up with another Schrödinger square. This square has to be 7 and 8 simultaneously. So it can't be. It must be 4, 6, 9. And that means this square's a 9. That means that square is a 9 by Sudoku. And 9s get pencil marked up there and pencil marked over there because of the weird symmetry that we've got going on. Now these squares are now known. They are 5, 7 and 8 to complete the box. And that means I get to put this digit in. That's got to be a 6 in the corner. Seems like it must be, so let's put that in. So these squares here are from 1, 4 and 5. That's not a 1 because we've got a 1-2 pair there. And have we cracked the back of this now? That is our next question. The answer is I don't know. I'm trying to see whether we've got any magic we can do with these squells in box 8. I want there to be magic, but I'm not actually seeing it there. Come on, find the magic. Where are you, magic? And why are you hiding so diligently? The answer is I can't find it. Okay, so we're going to have to look at something else, I think, which is a bit distressing. If I knew which of these, do I know what colour is what now? Do I know which of these is orange and not which colour is which, but which number belongs to which colour? I sort of feel like I would like to know that. It would be helpful, but I don't think I do. Ah. Oh, I see. Oh, good grief above. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. let us stop thinking about 5x5s and think about 8x8s. Is it relevant that these squares here all contain 9s? That is a question I want to investigate. Let me highlight these cells. There's a 9 in all of these. Is this doing something to this box? That's the question, isn't it? Does it matter? Does it matter if we put a 9 in the 21 cage? What do we know about the 21 cage? We know that it's got a 12 on this diagonal and a 9 on that diagonal, don't we? So if it does have a 9 in it, it would have to be a 9-3 pair in that orientation, which may or may not be okay. This feels like it is interesting. So if you force 9, that's what I want to do. I'm trying to work out whether I can force 9 into the 21 cage because of the orientations here. What you can't do is have 9s in both of those squares. That won't work. Same is true of that, because it's going to break this cage, is what I'm thinking. But that's very hard to pencil mark, and I'm not sure it's enough. This is I think I'm very close to understanding how this puzzle works. There is something going on with these sort of triples going round in this big 8x8 frame. My spider sense is going crazy. I just can't quite see how it works. Oh, it's very annoying. Is there a reason you can't put a 9 in that 21 cage? The other 3 digits would have to add up to 12. Is that a problem? Don't see why. Or is there some other digit I can rule in or out of that 21 cage? I'm just wondering about 3s actually, which I've sort of neglected. 3 is in one of those 6 cells, 4 cells I should say. 3 in this box is in one of 4 cells. No, I'm struggling, aren't I? I think I'm close, but I haven't quite understood something about the geometry here, and it's messing me up. So, what is the thing I've not understood about the puzzle? It's going to be... I don't know. I really don't know. Oh no. Come on, Simon. Use your brain. A Maverick's flying past. That's good news. Maybe I've got to do more prolific pencil marking somehow. That's got to be a 5, 6, 7 or 8. I don't want to do that. I really don't. Is there some way that I can conclude something useful? Oh, no. I was about to say, if these are both 1s, then orange is 1. Which is just a truism. it's not. It's not. It's not a useful thing to conclude. There is everything in my being is saying that there is something going on with the frame that's coming round here, and something to do with nines, and I just can't get my head around what it is. What is it that I'm missing here? It is that threes. Oh, Simon, you're letting yourself down, man. Get a grip. What is going on? Can we conclude they had to add up to 9? Maybe this diagonal. Is that diagonal getting any more restricted? It's getting a bit more restricted. 20, 29. So the open squares have to add up to 19. Which is very possible. So it's not that. It's going to have to be... Oh, is that it? That I can't put 3? Oh, it is. Oh, good grief. Wow. Okay, I've finally seen it. I should have thought more closely about these pencil mark 3s. I've only just realised the implication of those in terms of this diagonal. Whoa, sorry. I know that's going to encourage many of you to get cross with me, but I just didn't notice it. So look. Oh, my phone's going. That's Mark, actually. I will take pleasure in ignoring him. So, 9s are in all of these yellow cells. So, if we put 9 in the 21 cage, where does it go? We know that diagonal sums to 9, so we can't put 9 and 0 on it. And we know this diagonal, if it's got a 9 on it, would have to be a 3-9 diagonal because it must add up to 12. So it's just not possible to put 9 in the 21 cage, which means these squares are yellow. They have to have a 9 in them. Now I have completed a frame of 9s. What does that mean? So that means you can't put 9s in the corners, doesn't it? So you can't put 9 there, because if you do, we're going to run out of room. If you put a 9 here, let's just confirm my suspicion. You'd have a 9 there, you'd have a 9 here, and now you can't put 9 in that cage. So you can't put 9s in the corners. Which might, you know, is that... Don't believe it. I'm wondering if that's going to affect the 48 or the 49 diagonals. If you can't put 9 in the corners of this big frame, and you and you can't. This one now, we know there's 9 here. That's 20, 29, 37. No, that's not useful. That's 11 on those two. And you can do that in a variety of ways. What about that one? We've got... This one's not going to... I don't think this one's going to be restricted. Which direction is it restricted? If we've taken out 9s, we're saying it's going to be hard to get to 49. So that's 10 if we max it out. 18... Now that can't be a 9, and that can't be 9. So the maximum you can put in those is double 8, which is 16 onto 18, 34. Oh, good grief, that's it. Wow. Wow, that is so clever, I cannot tell you. Right, so that is ridiculous. So now, if you come up with something like this, do you just sit back and just go, I am the man? I mean, is that what Afraid Not does? He does this and then he just goes, yep, I'm the man. Because he is the man. This is just ridiculous. The fact you can remove the 9 from the corners here has effectively meant that this diagonal is utterly, utterly constrained. and I have to max out every single digit on it. So I'm going to get a huge number of progress. Otherwise, I can't make 49. The only way of making 49 is that is 6. This is 4. This is therefore 1. This has got to be 6. This has got to be 2. These have both got to be 8, which is the most they can be. And this has to still add up to 15. And there's only one way of doing it, because there's a 9 in the box. That's a 7-8 pair. And there we go. That's presumably made some difference. He says, hoping. Look at this. Look at these 6s now. The 6s have to go in the 21 cage. Now, where can they go in the 21 cage? The 21 cage has a diagonal here, which adds to 12. So that's not got 6 on it. So that must go on the other diagonal, which adds to 9. So this is a 3-6 diagonal, and the only place the 3 can go is there. The 3 and the 6 go in. Oh my goodness me. This is madness. So this is now 4-8 or 5-7. Let's put that in and see if we can see what... Oh, I see. Right, now 8s are looking at both of those squares. So this is 5-7 actually. I don't know if we can resolve that. Can't quite see how to do it. Get rid of the 3s from the corner cells. 6. Now what do we do? We can... This 10 diagonal might become potent at some point, you know. It can't be 3-7, it can't be 4-6. So now, at this point, it's either 1-9 or 2-8. That's not 2, so that's not 8. Still haven't resolved my colouring, have I? That can't be a 1 anymore. Can we conclude anything more about any of these options? That's the question. I've got to put... What have I got to put in those squares? 3, 4 and 6, I think. Not seeing how to resolve that. That might be something I'm missing again. So, where do we look next for our next deduction? We've got 4 here. That 4 was very hard won. What is that doing to the world? The answer is unclear. What else was hard won? This 2 was very hard won. That's removing a 2 from that square. These 6s were incredibly hard won. We can remove 6 from that square. 6 has to be up here, which is unsurprising. We have a 4-9 pair. Almost got like a triple going on here, but not quite. 4, 5, 9. Okay. So maybe we've got to look somewhere else for more magic. I'm not sure where, to be honest. I'm really not sure where. 1, 4, 5 here, 2, 7, 8 here. That can't be an 8. Maybe it's the other diagonal. I know I looked at this just now, but I think I'm going to look at it again. I've got 29. I need another 19. So these 3 squares have got to add up to 19. So we can't... So, I don't think it's that restricted, to be honest. If this was 3, it's impossible, because you can't... Oh no, that could be 8 then. No, it's actually, it is possible. That's not correct. This can be any of those digits, I think. So we're going to have to find something else to look at. What is it that we're missing now? On top of everything else we've missed, there must be more that we've got to think about. 3. I got this 3. Maybe that's the key. Yeah, I can get a 3 here. Look, that's nice. That gets me rid of a 3 there. And get a 3 here as well. Like, okay. So I get a 3 here. Now, is that 3 done any magic? It's got me all the 3s in the grid. Yeah, okay. Now all of a sudden this diagonal has become... This is so clever, this puzzle. Honestly. Now, what can we not put in this square? The answer is 9, because we know that if we put 9 here, we're going to break this other side of the frame. So you can't put 9 here. So those 2 squares, which have to add to 16, now have to be a double 8 pair. Which means what? Oh, that's... now the 10 diagonal is not 2, 8, it's 1, 9. So how many 8s have we got? The answer is several. That's got to be an 8 over there. Good. This has got to be an 8 at the bottom, just applying sort of symmetrical logic. These 2 squares have got to be 2 and 4. Which looks particularly unhelpful. No, it's not. I'm aligned the 2, 4 pair unduly. Look, we can ask the question now, where does 2 go in row 2 of the grid? And we know it's in one of these 3 squares in box 2. Well, it must be in this one, because we can't put 2 here, or we'll end up with a 2 there and a 2 there, which won't work. And that's going to give us this square as a 1, which we know bounces back over here to create a 2. That gives me a 2 and a 4 there, look, which gives me a 2 and a 7 here. Oh, come on, keep going. This 1 is resolving the 1 and the 9, and that's going to go round the grid like a dose of salts, because that's going to get me all my 9s. 9s and 7s, 9s and 5s. This is a 9 in this box now. This is a 9 in this box now. Come on. Now I've got to put 1 here. Oops, not there. It's not going to go there. It's got to be here just by Sudoku. And if we look along here, this is a 5 or a 7. Look here, that's a 4 just to complete the row. Aha! Finally! Finally, after all this time, this 4 is giving me a 1 here and a 4 here. And therefore this is a 1, this is a 1, this is a 4. Now you can see by Sudoku that's the 4 and this is the 5. So it loses its right to be coloured. Okay, now what does all that mean? I think we might be... I'm not saying it, but you know what I'm thinking. This has got to be 7. That gets me the 7 and the 8 in the middle. This square is known to just be a 5. I've got a 5, 7 pair here, so that's going to have to be a 4, which gets me my 4 and my 6. Now this row needs an 8. That 8's probably been available for ages. I think I virtually had all the 8s 5 minutes ago. 6 and 7s have got to go into those squares. 1s and 5s in the middle. Okay, what now? How do we finish this off? This 7 is giving me a 5, 5, 7. Therefore this is a 7, this is a 7, this is a 5. Those squares are 5 and 6, which we can do. Not like that, like that. That's a 6 and a 7, which we can do. I need to put 6 and 7 in there, which I can do. And now those 3 squares have got to be 5, 6 and 8. So we put 6 here, 8 here, 5 here, and finish one of the great puzzles. Yes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I'm sorry about that. I made a complete Horlicks at the start, where I assumed it was about set theory, and it wasn't. Well, at least I don't think it was. And then I made a complete Horlicks of some of the later stages where I didn't appreciate properly. Well, particularly, I didn't realise I couldn't put 9 in the 21 cage, because of the threes, and that was incredibly inept. But around the outside of the ineptitude was just gorgeous beauty, because this puzzle is so stunning, I cannot tell you. The fact that these weird, like, well, they are frames, aren't they? There's that frame there. If we control A the grid and get rid of the colours, and then we can just talk a bit about, we've got this one, and then we had that one as well, and maybe a bit of this one. So there were all of these sort of frames in the grid that all interacted with each other in the most stunning way. Afraid not, take a bow. That was absolutely mesmerising. And we even got introduced to the concept of squells as well. So I hope you enjoyed watching me battle through that. Thanks so much for sticking with it, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.